Revenge films.
My name is Natalie. I am a full-time housewife living together with my husband, Ryan. My husband's childhood home is within driving distance from our house, so we visited his parents quite frequently after we got married. However, I did not like going out to eat with them. That is because my mother-in-law always speaks ill of me when no one is around, especially when it comes to my looks. She says things like, "You have a very plain face. Apply some makeup for heaven's sake." Every time she makes a comment like that, I was hurt. Actually, I used to wear heavy makeup and gaudy clothes when I was younger. Whenever I apply makeup, it gives off a flashy impression. This is why after I got married, I started applying less makeup. The truth is that I have more confidence when I wear more makeup. So I did think about wearing more makeup when meeting my mother-in-law, but I thought that if I wear too much makeup, I might not be able to leave a good impression on her. So I decided not to wear heavy makeup when I first met her. My mother-in-law had no idea about that, and she has never seen me with heavy makeup. This is why I get more and more frustrated every time I see her. One day I went out to eat with my parents-in-law.
Don't hesitate to eat a lot. There's plenty for everyone. Eat to your heart's content.
That's right, eat as much as you can. Then, when my husband and father-in-law were absorbed in their conversation, talking about what men talk about, my mother-in-law whispered in my ear, "What a shameful set you are. You don't need to eat tonight. I can't believe how you managed to live with that body. You gain more and more weight whenever I see you. You weigh too much. Eat less for heaven's sake." I was very shocked by the words that came out of my mother-in-law's mouth. Seeing me look down and noticing the expression on my face changed, my husband became worried as he asked me,
Are you alright, Natalie? What's the matter? Do you feel sick?
It seems that she doesn't like the food.
Oh, don't you like Chinese food? I thought I remember you mentioning you love Chinese food.
Yes, I did mention that I love Chinese food because it's true.
You don't have to force yourself to eat, okay? Just eat what you can stomach. Which would you like to eat first? Should we order a different dish?
Thank you. Then when I arrived home after eating dinner with Ryan's parents, my body's batteries plummeted and I went kaput. I lay down on the sofa in the living room and I stayed there for about an hour until my husband carried me to the bedroom so I can take a proper rest.
Are you alright? Do you feel sick?
Yes, I'm alright. My body felt listless, but I thought that it was just mental fatigue, so I decided to sleep early that night. The day started pretty normal for me, but then I suddenly became ill and I had to be brought to the hospital. That's when I found out that I have a life-threatening disease. The doctor told me that I had to stay inpatient there at the hospital. When I was laying there in the hospital bed, I became extremely anxious and depressed. After work, my husband went straight to the hospital where I was admitted to, and he took care of me until late at night. The whole time I was in the hospital. My husband was a great support both emotionally and physically. Thanks to that, I was able to muster the courage to face the painful treatment. Then, a few days after I was brought to the hospital, my mother-in-law came to visit me by herself. I thought that she wouldn't say anything bad about me that day, especially since I was sick and powerless sitting on the hospital bed. But reality is a bitter truth. That is when I learned not to hope too much when it comes to my mother-in-law. The moment my mother-in-law walked into the room, she uttered something unbelievable. "You're still alive? I thought you were already gone. I hope you have a good insurance. You can't give birth to children anymore, right? In that case, there's no reason for you to be with my son anymore." Lost for words for her shocking greeting, I was silent for a moment. That was when my mother-in-law continued spitting out heinous words. "I was expecting to see you gone, but I guess I just wasted my time coming here." Hearing those heartless words, my jaw dropped. So I told my mother-in-law that I wasn't feeling well and drove her out. I then told my husband about what my mother-in-law had said to me, but my husband couldn't believe that his mother would say such words, so he told me that I might just have a bad dream, because my mind and body were weak at the moment. He just ignored what I told him at the time. With frustration and anger raging inside of me, I told myself that I would cure myself and recover completely by any means necessary. Because of that, I tried very hard to get my health back in shape. It was a preparation for the surgeries so I can endure the treatment. I've had enough of my mother-in-law making my life miserable. I'm not going to let her this time around. 3 months later, I had finally had surgery and braved it. The procedure finally went without a hitch, and I was finally able to go home. Thankfully, I was steadily recovering. Then, when I was an outpatient, I asked the doctor about something that had been bothering me for quite a while now. "Doctor, will I be able to have children?" "Yes, it might be a great deal of physical strength for your current body condition, but you can do it if you just continue trying and never give up." "Doctor, really? Thank you so much. What a huge relief. With hopes that I might be able to have children, I steadily recovered little by little. Then after a while, I was finally able to go back to my daily life. I received a call that I would be eating out with my parents-in-law. While I was in the hospital, all I could think about was getting my revenge on my mother-in-law when I was getting discharged from the hospital. My husband was working that day, so we decided to meet at the restaurant after work. I had plenty of time to get ready, so I applied heavy makeup and set up my hair, just like the way I used to do it when I was younger. But I got a bit slimmer because of the illness. So I think I look better now in the dress, with hair and makeup. I then wore an outfit that was in vogue. I felt more confident and braver than ever to face everything in my way head-on, for the first time in a long time. While I was walking downtown, the 3 guys I walked past hit on me 3 times. That made me more confident, so I was in a better mood. When I walked inside the restaurant, when I arrived at my seat, my husband and my parents-in-law were already sat and ordered food. "I'm sorry to keep you waiting." Who are you?" "Mother-in-law, what are you saying? It's me." My mother-in-law was at a loss for words when I said that. Once I had everyone's attention, I decided to execute my plan right away. More importantly, when you told me that you were surprised that I was still alive, I was very shocked that I was at a loss for words. But thanks to that, I was able to recover quickly, because I got motivated to get well no matter what. Hearing what I said, my husband and my father-in-law looked shocked and then stared in the direction of where my mother-in-law was sitting. What are you saying? I never said such a thing. How dare you accuse me? You should be ashamed of yourself." "Of course you did. There's no way I misheard it. She told me there's no point in me being with Ryan if I can't have birth to babies." "You've got to be kidding me. There's no way I would say such a thing." "I mean, you've been making fun of me, calling me ugly and fat, right? Do you remember that?" "No, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't remember any of that." While I was fighting my mother-in-law about who said what, my mother-in-law finally said something that gave her away. "Get a hold of yourself! I didn't say those words to help you! I really wish you were gone!" That moment, I made a triumphant pose in my head. Then my husband and father-in-law became furious at my mother-in-law. There was nothing she could say to defend herself, so she cast eyes down awkwardly.
I can't believe that you were the type of person who would say such things! I misjudged you! Unbelievable! I can't believe that you hurt Natalie! I will never forgive you!
Then, just when I thought my mother-in-law stood up, she ran away and escaped the scene. After that, my husband and father-in-law apologized to me on her behalf. Even after we arrived at home, my husband apologized to me over and over again. He then told me that I didn't have to engage with my mother-in-law anymore. He finally knows the truth about how his mother treats me, and he understands that my mother-in-law stresses me out. My husband then explained that he assumed that I had just had a bad dream, because I was ill and my body and mind were weak at the hospital. He also explained that he couldn't believe that his own mother, who gave birth to him, would say such cruel words to the woman he loves. I think that I would have thought the same thing if I was in his shoes. Because of that, I decided to forgive my husband for not believing in me right away. It's rare that one's mother turns into a monster overnight. After that, I finally got pregnant after we tried and failed several times. 2 years after I got discharged from the hospital, I gave birth to a healthy baby, our very first child. We've been waiting for this baby since the day we got married, so my husband and I were of course overjoyed, as well as my parents and my father-in-law. But as for my mother-in-law, she wanted to see her grandchild too. But my husband completely shut her out, so she could never come close to our baby. She was very persistent in seeing her grandchild, but after we finally let go of her, she called on the phone to apologize to me. "Natalie, I'm sorry. I promise to never say anything bad about you anymore. So please, I beg you, Natalie. I want to see my grandchild. You know how much I've been waiting to have a grandchild." "I know that because you keep on telling me. But didn't you say at the hospital that there's no point in me being with your son if I don't give birth to a child, remember? But now you've come crawling out to me when I finally give birth. That's too convenient for you. All you think about is yourself. You are so self-centered and a mean person." "I want to cradle my grandchild in my arms. You have no idea how it feels to not be able to hold your grandchild in your arms. Please, Natalie, I beg you, please forgive me." My husband and I couldn't find in ourselves to forgive my mother-in-law, so we never allowed her to come close to our precious baby girl. Because of that, we ceased talking to her and we naturally drifted apart. My mother-in-law now lives a sad and depressing retired life without being able to see her grandchild. Well, if my daughter understood what she did, even our baby wouldn't want to see her. After that, since my father-in-law learned about my mother-in-law's true colors, only now, after being together for several decades and living under the same roof, he couldn't stand living together with her anymore. So he used his retirement savings to go on trips every once in a while. Thanks to that, my father-in-law is now healthier and looks more youthful. Apparently, he can't imagine living with her for the rest of his retired life, so he decided to use his savings and retirement money all for himself. As for my mother-in-law, she became dissatisfied with not having a father-in-law at home. So while my father-in-law was away on vacation, my mother-in-law left the house and never came back. My mother-in-law called Ryan several times, but he kept ignoring the calls. After a while, he received a long message from his mother. What's written was her resentment towards her son who abandoned her. My husband said that it's very creepy, so he deleted the messages without sending a reply. Rumors say that my mother-in-law is now living in a small, danky apartment, alone and lonely by herself. My husband and I are now estranged from my mother-in-law, and we now live together happily with my father-in-law and our cute little baby. I want to continue taking care of my health so that I will never get ill again. I will also take good care of our family and prioritize my family's health. Health is wealth, after all. I hope to live a long, happy life with my beloved family.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.